Okay, we'll check one simple XML validation using Java. So I have a book.xml where just one book ID, one attribute, and a name. We don't know how to name it, so just put as how to name it as a name. And the schema, you can see it's a book, one element. Then for that element, we have attribute, one child, that simple string. So we have schema, book element is here. It's a book type. Book type have a sequence of element which is a name and string type and a book ID as attribute. ID is ISBN 10 type, which is simple regex pattern. Just accept numbers alone and 10 digit long, and it's a mandatory field. And string type is just normal string. There's no restrictions for now. With that, we'll start. So this is IntelliJ ID and not using Maven or Gradle. So simple, not using any other library, even JUnits. Of course, we'll write main method to use. So XML validator. Mm, So we'll start with main. Just go one by one. First, though we are not using test-driven development. I'm not writing test, but I'll write from the main method itself. So validator equal to new valid. Oops, it's XML validator. So we'll change this here. So now validator dot validate, and this should be the XML content. So XML data. So now to use one, we don't have data, so I just put string XML data equal to. I'll just put dummy string now. We'll later change to actual book.xml file. So now we don't have validate method. Let's create. I'm just to not to waste time or maybe to improve my videos. I just start using videos using IntelliJ or Eclipse also fine. So validate simply throws exception or so just say throws. I just okay, it throws runtime exception, so no need to worry. So what we need to do first, we need to validate. Let's print this out. Is valid. Let it return true, true or false. So it should return boolean and let's return false. So let's run this. Make sure our class paths are not broken. Okay, it's false, but look, it's a valid XML, but we are not validating against schema. So let's write that. Now we are using the sax jaxp library from Java. So sax parser factory equal to sax parser factory dot. Let's go with new instance. So for factory, we'll set the few boolean which validating parser. Then factory dot set namespace ever. Though we don't have namespace here, but some most places you may see that. Then we need to set the dot set. You can use feature also using http://apache.org/x features validation schema true to enable schema validation. Okay, so let's save this. Why it is showing error? Okay, so since it throws error, we'll add around with try catch, and we have a lot of error. We use chain. I'm just a newbie with IntelliJ, so not to throw exception, we just return. Okay, by default return false. So let's log dot. mm, let's use Java util logger. So go back, create a logger, private static final. I just logger Java util logger. So log equal to logger dot get logger. Let's use XML validator. Sometimes we use as class name, but let's fine. Not going too much on that. Logger dot cvr. Let's print the exception message itself. Get message. And by default it return false. So if it is successful, it should return true. True. But we haven't called actual parser code. So now we need to read a XML reader. So there reader equal to factory dot get. Okay, that's auto execution, so itself will use it. Again, it throws error, so add to. Okay, method signature. Oops, no. Let's change with sax exception. So reader dot parse. So we can pass both string system ID and input. Let's pass the input. So pass new input source, new string reader. If I pass a string, it will use as a system ID. That's why I'm just passing the reader. So we again parse throws error. We'll add it to catch class. Okay, it's IO exception. So let's put here. In case it's a hierarchy, if it comes, obviously we can remove. That's all. So let's run again. Cool. So what it says is error handler is not set, which is since it's some if it throws exception, we need to catch and make it fail. And next one it says cannot declaration. That means it cannot find the schema since we are validating against schema. And so we need to do two things. One is let's throw exception in case of error. So let's override the method. So that, oops, aha, that's great. So we need to implement or extends the XML filter IMPL. Since already they have a add default methods for those, so I just extending instead of implementing the XML filter. If we implement it, we need to write a lot of code. And now we have the error. See, we got the error. So I'm just not doing anything. It just throw new runtime exception and just do the same message. So it will throw and we'll make it return false. So let's run again. Okay, so its valid is true. That's right. And what it says validation turned on because we set validation parser. Error handler was not set, which is probably not validation. Okay, we did error handler already. But what we need to do was for this reader, we need to set what is the error handler. So reader dot set. See, you have multiple handler, but we'll come to next. First error handler, since we already have this error through the XML filter AMPL. I'll pause this. Now if we run, yep, you got it. Now it's goes to our error handler because it's goes to here error, but you can see it unable to find the schema for this. Obviously, it doesn't have a schema. So we need to put a entity resolver for that. Let's, before going into that, we'll change this to actual data. So file start read string, and we need to pass paths dot get of actual path. So I'll just pass, copy this path, absolute path. I'll just put it here. Okay, so it catches, we have to catch it. So I just simply throws, and now we'll run. Okay, so now it's reading the book, but it cannot find the declaration. So we need to define the schema now. For schema, we need to write the entity resolver. So likewise, how we did this error handler, we need to set. Uh, anyway, we are not just validating, so we are not parsing. So content handler is not required. Entity resolver to resolve all this schema data. We can use the factory or the reader.set schema, but here we use entity resolver so that we can do the caching of resources all. So could help to improve performances. Not for a simple validation like this, but in case if you do multiple validations for the same against content against the same schema, it will help. So let's write entity resolver. By default, it has one already have one entity resolver. So for that, see entity solve entity. It return entity source. Input source for the public ID and system ID. Mostly system ID will be okay. It doesn't have a system ID. But never mind. If you have multiple schema, you will have like this here additional namespace XML colon. Yeah, here you have right. Let's say ABC equals then HTTP colon then the where is the file name like booked dot oh sorry not here. Yeah, I'm checking. Yep, not opening. Sorry. Okay. Yeah, here you have. So this will come for you as the system ID, and for this, what should be the schema file. So let's copy this. Anyway, we have only one entity, so we have always the same copy path, absolute path. So that's what we are going to return. Where is it? Resolve entity. Mm, system ID as usual. Null check. Null equal to null. Return new input source. Same case. I just using files dot read string paths dot get. Already it's throwing IO exception, so it's fine. And that's all. Now we go and run this. Cool. So it's still unable to find the declaration. That means we entity resolver is good, but it has some trouble. So, okay, we are not breaking anything. That's right. Ah, see, I should not pass as entity. This is string reader. So that I'll show that. If you see the input source, it has multiple way of setting. If you set a stream, it will use the internal character stream. If you simply set a string, it uses this method and just think this is as a system ID, the string value. Now let's try again. So we always read through the original tag. Oh, see, it's valid now. Let's go back and check our wrong XMLs. Okay, so I'll just use some invalid XML. Invalid XML contain, let's say one digit less. See here itself, it's validating. That's what we are expecting from a validator too. So it's not a test class, but I'm just passing the same using the same main method. So now it's invalid.xml. Okay, so now let's run again. So see, its first one is valid, second one is missing. That is the message here. Sax parser exception, but it's not returned because it throws sax parser exception. But what we got doesn't follow that, and it logged. So okay, so one more. So simply catch all. Aha, see, that is the mistake. Runtime exception I'm throwing, not say exception. So it cannot be cut through this. So let's through the same. That means throw the same error. Now G. Yep. See severe, that is our log, which is this. Java util logging, no other framework libraries, which is exactly the message we expect, and it's invalid. Um, always null because not null check. That's all, not a problem now. So that's all for XML validation without any other libraries with JDK alone. By the way, I'm using, you can see it's a JDK 21. It's applicable for other older JDKs too. Thanks everyone. Thanks for watching.